So now we will have the next session. It is about the part for the webinar. So we'll start with the experts. So our first expert speaker is the president of Telangana chapter, Ms. Josna Cherupu. I would like Naman to play the video on her while speaking about her.
The secret for success of CMAC is our continual improvement of 3 Ps: the people, the processes, and the product. It is the people who build organizations. In CMAC, whether it's a machine operator or whether he is a person in the leadership team, we ensure they adhere to the training calendar. As an ISO company, we have our own continual improvement of processes which will help us to deliver the product on time, and consistently we can deliver the quality product.
Here
to you.
we
Over to you.
welcome Josna Cherupu. Please come on the dais.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Madhuji, that you could cover up for the absence of Kalpana. And Naman, if you could get on to the, thank you. So once again, welcome to everyone to this today's session. Actually, this topic is not like, a particular sector we are talking about, or in a particular product we are talking about. This is a very vast subject, like public procurement. So what is public procurement? Naman, next slide. Yeah, so every business, as we all know, the major component is like we are making goods or we are offering services to our customers. And we have, as an enterprise, we have an option to sell these products to the private sector or to the government. The public sector means basically government owned or under government subsidy. So these kind of enterprises. Why is it difficult, or why are we talking specifically today about like public procurement? Because what happens in a private enterprise is like you go, you sell, you show your product, and the customer has a need, and then he will immediately make a decision. He will say, yeah, I need it, and then he'll start negotiating and he will buy it. But it's not so when it comes to public procurement. The people who are there are buying, though they are buying for their organization, they have a stringent norm as laid out by the government of India, or if it is a state owned, then it is as per the state guidelines. There is a process through which they have to they have to select the vendor. So that's why it is different as compared to selling to anybody. In public sector procurements, the major part that lies is the registration process. One has to register to what products they are selling and how they are making it and at what price they will be able to sell it. So all these details have to be upfront given in a registration process. So that's why we are speaking today, especially about this public procurement. So before I go to the next slide, would like to share, we are, as you have seen our video, we are into construction equipment manufacturing. Apart from that, we also make customized products which can be used for material handling. So many years of our existence in the business, we have been majorly focusing on private enterprises, thinking public enterprise is a big headache, or with so many myths we had in our mind that, there's a long process involved in it. And so we were mostly focusing on things. But then slowly, as we understood, we are missing out on a very huge sector. Then we realized that we are missing out on a huge customer base by only focusing on private enterprises, and that's where we entered into the public procurement process. Next slide, Naman. So what I'm saying, what we missed out is like the government. If you look at last year 2021. Though the procurement overall procurement through the government sector has been about, I think, 1,20,000 crores of procurement has happened through the public enterprises across India, whether you call it as defense, pharma, which is government owned, or petrochemicals, or agricultural side, or any power sector or shipbuilding industries, whichever are the government owned, there has been a procurement of about 1,20,000 crore plus. And why today I'm speaking is, like, most of us are from the MSME industry, and there are people who are also looking for starting up an enterprise. So there is a special provision as per the government's public procurement policy, which is laid out by the government in 2019 revised. They say that out of that 25% has to go to the MSME sector. So which is nearly, like last year, if you look at in 2021, there was 40,000 crores of procurement that has happened through the MSMEs. And if you look at specifically at women-owned SMEs, there has been a procurement through the women-owned enterprises, which is about 720 crores. And nearly 5,000 women entrepreneurs have participated in supplying to this public procurement. And year on year, this budget is going to increase. So don't you think that in comparison to the private industry, how much of business we are missing out on not supplying to the government? Next slide, please. So as I said, what are the main features is, there is a mandatory rule in the procurement policy that 25% of the procurement has to be through the MSMEs. And out of that 25%, 3% has to be procured through women-owned organizations. And then out of the 25%, again, 4% of the total SME product procurement has to happen through the SCSTs. So MSME registered, if you are registered with the MSME as with your Udyog Aadhaar, and you also register yourself with the NSIC. NSIC means National Small Industries Council. So if you register with these two and you have your registration numbers in place, then what happens is for bidding for tenders and all, you all know that we have to pay the EMD, that is the deposit you have to pay. So here we are exempted from the deposit. And even when you're taking loans and other things from the banks, as madam has explained, there is a registration. I mean, for all the loans, there is a processing fee, and also there is going to be an exemption for that also. And for those startups who are all registered under Startup India, see, there are so many people who are coming enthusiastically to do something, but many of us are missing out on the registration processes. And because we don't adhere to the proper registration processes, we miss out on getting many benefits from the government as well as utilizing the bank schemes. Why are the banks giving us so many schemes, and why is government announcing so many schemes? Is basically to encourage entrepreneurship. Historically, India has this thing of we were all entrepreneurs. It's only that in between, whatever you call the British regime, or in between, we have all become more service oriented, like, more of software industry and all. But if you look at the pandemic situation, post pandemic, now the experts are all saying that people are going to lose jobs because of the global pandemic and global economic recession. So, but we have to survive, right? So you have to look at what the people look at and what the people are requiring and what the government is looking at, and then start looking for becoming more entrepreneurial. So in that, I'm saying you have to register yourself for the Startup India so that it helps you. And many women, as a COVE member, I know many women don't even register on the Udyog Aadhaar. If you don't register, then you cannot avail many of the benefits. So that is also another very mandatory thing that you have to. Next slide. So now if you look at sector wise, there are almost about 150 PSUs. There are engineering which are into BHEL, Steel India, HMT, then Mineral Development Corporation. So there are so many such kind of enterprises which are into procuring of engineering goods. These engineering goods can be of many things. It can be a total equipment which can be used to do a particular work, or it can be spare parts which can be supplied. It can be small pipes and even making some small, even nuts and bolts, hardware also, or even a small part of the entire equipment also. There are so many such procurements that happen. And when you come to defense, you all know defense is, of course, the government total procurement happens by the India, government of India, and there are so many organizations like BDL, HAL, DRDO, DRDL, which are all the defense enterprises. And now we are all encouraging, like, government is encouraging that it has to be make in India, it has to be Atmanirbhar Bharat, instead of buying missiles from France or from Russia or from elsewhere. They are encouraging that let's do everything in India and make indigenous products. So there's a lot of encouragement from the government also to supply for them. Then even if you look at agro-based, like, FCI buys so many things, and then there are other fertilizer corporations. So there are so many people who are all basically buying from the small SMEs. Then infra, if you look at railways is the biggest, one of the biggest procurement body which is taking. Then petrochemicals, whether it's ONGC or Indian Oil or HP or whatever it is, they also have. So you may be wondering, like, what do they purchase? They can purchase anything. It can be a total equipment or in office stationery. So next slide, please. Yeah, so don't worry, like, it's not all about engineering products alone. There's a lot of other non-engineering products also that happen, procurement also that happens, like, your office automation products, your food. In defense, there's a lot of this high energy bars that are required, or uniforms specifically made for them. And there are so many stationery items or the furniture items, so shoes. So many such non-engineering products also that get procured. So I'll come back to the list, or like how you will find this list of the procurements that happen. So even as simple as a cutlery or even as a doormat also, they will have to go through a proper procurement process. It's not like, private industry where you just go and that the admin will go to the finance director and take an approval and then immediately he'll go and buy. It's not like that. For government, there is a process of tendering, or there's a process of budget outlays, and accordingly they will go and make the procurements. And it's not all about products. There are also services which can be offered for the public sector. There's interiors, landscaping, housekeeping services, plumbing, electrical, painting, so many such kind of services you can offer to the public sectors also, which are innumerable. Like, you have too many services which you can, supplying of drivers, supplying of housekeeping services. So many such kind of services are there where the scope is unlimited when it comes to government. Okay, so next slide, Naman. So why we are talking about public procurement at all? See, because one is when these are some of the aspects of public procurement is competition, there's accountability, there's a transparency. So whatever products they are purchasing, there's a transparency which they will go through, and fairness in terms of they will look for certain category, like, whether it is a quality of the product or the price of the product. They give the guidelines, like, we are going to follow these guidelines, and accordingly they will go through. So there is a fairness. And then economy, you generally, that is, for the supplier, it can be a little hurdle, because they will always ask you for the least price. Always they will ask for the L1, whoever is the least priced person to quote for it. And there is an efficiency which will encourage for the supplier. Like, for us, we are manufacturing and we are supplying something to government. There is a huge process involved in it. Every stepwise you have to put it in proper perspective. So this kind of a process will enhance your own efficiency. Once you put all your paperwork in proper process, especially for ISO companies, it's all the more easy because we have all the paperwork in place. So whether in government, getting the order is getting the registration is one process, getting the order is other process. And the third is, if you print in all your paperwork properly and submit invoice, the payments also will come back in the same way. So your efficiency in terms of the entire paperwork or product production, the quality norms, maintenance, there's always an inspection that happens. So you are enhancing your own abilities. The efficacy of the organization is going to enhance very much because you are going through a process. If it is just a private guy, what happens is you are just giving him a particular thing and somehow somebody, then you will fatafat say get the MD is very close to you, will get the money back faster. You don't know, then 100 times you go, but still he will create a problem problem for you. But here, this is not the case. Like, you have the process in place. Naman, next slide, please. Yeah. So what I'm saying is there's a standardization of our processes. Every PSU has their own standard ways in processes in which you have to do. So your product wise, documentation wise, as I told you, there is going to be a enhanced quality enhancement. And once you start supplying for the government, then it is very easy for you to supply for any bigger MNC, because already all the processes are in place. You don't have to reinvent anything. So you know how you're making the product, how you're, from where you're buying, and how you're maintaining the coding of the product. So everything is in place. So it becomes much more easier for you. And then bank loans will become easy because you are a regular supplier to government and the government has approved your quality, means there is a credibility that gets that gets established. And then bill discounting is also easy. Like you get a big order, like, a 2 crore, 3 crore order from the government, you go and show the government order, there's a bill discounting facility that is available with the banks, because of which you'll get an enhanced credit limits. And if you are making something special for a particular organization, like DRDO asks you to make a particular equipment or something, so generally they restrict it to 1 or 2 suppliers only. So the competition is also less. And there are myths, as I told you, that money doesn't come. There's a lot of procedural delay. Yeah, there is a lot of procedure. But now to overcome this and to encourage more SMEs to participate in the public procurement, what government has done is it has come out with a policy where no MSME bill should be more than 45, delayed more than 45 days. So if there is a delay or a dispute, there is another website in MSME which is called as MSME Samadhan. So there you can go and fight for your case. Yeah. So that's it. And next slide, please. So how do you get there? So far we have been talking about the we are talking about the benefits of it and why to do it. Now, how to do it? There are basically now there are so many things, but I don't want to talk too many things because it's again by itself a big webinar. So I'm just quickly going around. There are 2 main portals. One is a GEM portal, another is a MSME Samadhan portal. MSME Sambandh portal. So get to the next slide, Naman. Yeah. So MSME Sambandh is where it's a public procurement policy monitoring portal. So there you can know each product, like, if you go, there are so many PSUs listed on the website. You go to any particular thing, like, if you are into some agri produce, or if you are into something which is to do with interiors, or if you are somebody who's dealing with the office equipment. So go to any particular website when any of these PSUs, click on it and check what are the things they are going to procure. So you get a lot of answers on it. Once you choose which company you want to register, then you can go and do the vendor registration process. So once done, vendor registration is little painful initially, but then once you're done, it's done. So you will continuously keep getting the tenders, and then you get the information, and then you can keep on supplying to them. And the next thing is GEM portal. This is a recent this is a recent introduction, this portal. It's called as a government e-marketing portal. As I said, when you have to supply through vendor registration process and then do all these things, it's going to take a little time. So what the government has done is has created a e-marketing place. So you can, it's like a exhibition kind of a thing. So you go, you put your products there, and who will be the buyers? The buyers are all the government people. Like, whether it's a ministry people or it's a PSUs or state ministry. So whatever, all the basically all the government procurements will happen through the e-marketing portal. So if you go, it's very interesting, the GEM portal, and to see what kind of products and how much of a range of products that are available. So I strongly personally encourage everybody to please go and register yourself. On the GEM portal, there is something called as a Womenia. Womenia is very much focused on women enterprises. So whenever government, as I told you, there's a restriction that they have to buy 3% of the outlay. So in that, they can definitely choose the women entrepreneurs and can buy the products directly from there. So this is all the availability of, these are all the facilities that are made available more and more. MSMEs can participate more and more women can participate. The next slide, please. So I'll just give you, it's a huge process. I mean, it's not a huge process. That's what, again, I'm saying it's a myth that people think that, oh, it's a big process. Not really, especially if you want to go onto the GEM portal or anything, whatever Aadhaar card and which is linked to your mobile, just keep that one ready. You have to have your Udyog Aadhaar mobile, I mean, Udyog Aadhaar memorandum, which is also number, and if you have the scanned copy, keep it ready. And then company registration date and document whatever is required, your private enterprise or a proprietary or a limited company, private limited, whatever that data. And if you're already been operating, your last 3 years IT returns. If you don't have your startup, then your startup DIP number is there that you can keep it ready. So all these data, you have to keep it ready with you so that once you start the registration online, the process goes uninterrupted. Then you have the GST number, your GST number, you keep it ready, your bank account number, and your registered office address, and who is the key person. See, basically GEM, you have to, the key person has to put in all their details on that. So whoever is the key person, they have to log in and then do these kind of things. So this is all the brief process for registration. Of course, once you, I'm only trying to basically create an interest, create a thinking aspect that, you know, we can go and do something for the public sector. I'm not saying, I mean, I'm not here to describe the entire process. If you take another 2 hours, it will take to talk about just the GEM portal itself. So I'm not doing that here. I'm just creating an inquisitiveness and triggering the people, all the women who are here, to please go and use the public sector purchases, which are more useful. Yeah, I mean, for every side of the coin, there are some shadows and there are some disadvantages and challenges that one has to overcome. One is the process delay, because from the time you have to register to the time you get your first inquiry, supply, and then get the bill, there is a process, extensive paperwork. Price advantage is less because they will always go for the L1. L1 means whoever is going to be the lowest price bidder. So the government has a thing that they have to go with the lowest bidder. That is their norm. So you have to always be the lowest bidder, for which you may not have too much of margin left. But then still it is worth it because of the kind of turnovers that you will be making, or the kind of work that you will be doing it. So these are all my self-level experiences, as well as looking at different websites. This is what I could gather. Yeah, so I think that's almost the last. We have come to the end of it, Naman. The last slide, please. Yeah, so all these students here out here, we have today the government which is encouraging all of us to get into the Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Stand Up India. So many such kind of schemes have been put up. For whom are they putting up? They're putting it up for all of us to become more Atmanirbhar, like, you know, self-reliant. Instead of looking at the job scenario and feeling disappointed, or you know, it's not always the software industry, but there's so much of things happening in Make in India, especially after this pandemic. We all know the value of making in India. Today we stand tall. Like 2 days back, Prime Minister was speaking, if not for the decision to make the vaccinations at India, where would we stand? Who will supply for 1.3 crore population? So it's all Atmanirbhar that has led us to stand up and do our own vaccination. So I'm encouraging all the students, and I'm telling, please think how to do this, and also look at how you become the public sector supplier. So that's all from me. That's from my side. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kobe and SIDBI, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you. And now we could hear more from Sriram Garu, who has got hands-on experience on this.